Hello and welcome. I'm Pallavi Sharma and you're watching Biz World Weekly, a show where we bring you the top stories of the week from across the world that matter. Let's start with the market check. Indian equity indices ended on a negative note with the Sensex down 0.55% at 83,938.71 points and Nifty down 0.6% at 25,722.1 points. Bharat Electronics, iShare Motors, Shriram Finance, L&T and TCS were among the top gainers on Nifty, while the top losers were Cipla, Eternal, Max Healthcare, NTPC and Interglobe Aviation. Among sectors, PSU Bank Index rose 1.5%, while Power, Metal, Media shed 1% each, and IT, Private Bank and Healthcare Index were down 0.5% each. BSE Midcap Index slipped 0.5% and small cap indices were down 0.4%. Indian rupee ended lower at 88.77 per dollar on October 31. Gold prices in India were at 12,268 rupees per gram for 24 karat gold, and for 22 karat gold it was at 11,245 rupees per gram. Donald Trump just wrapped up his latest Asia tour, hitting Japan, South Korea and Malaysia with all the subtlety of a rock star on a world stage. And if there's one thing the world leaders learned fast, it's that with Trump, it's all about the razzle-dazzle, shiny gifts, bouquets of praise, gold-encrusted accoutrements, and lunches that make a royal banquet look like a snack. If you wanted to win Trump's favor, you didn't skimp on the spectacle. And boy, did they deliver. Let's first give credit where it's due. Yes, there were deals, or at least the kind of deals Trump loves touting as historic. The heavyweight of the trip, Trump's 2-hour behind closed doors chat with President Xi Jinping of China. Trump later declared the rare earth trade war issues settled, but for a year. A ceasefire on tariffs that drops fentanyl tariffs by 10%, but still keeps them at a staggering 47% on most Chinese goods. China will also start buying American soybeans again for a year. It's basically 1 year truce on a trade war. But don't pop the champagne yet. No word on semiconductor and the TikTok deal also. Besson said that it was finalized, but there were no details. China's big takeaway was more dialogue, which means no real breakthrough, just polite nods and promises to work together. But Trump's spin, big win. Now let's talk about South Korea. Trump revealed that US has approved South Korea's request to construct a nuclear-powered submarine. He said that it will be built in Philadelphia shipyard. US and South Korea also reached agreements on energy supply. Trump said that Seoul was committed to purchasing vast quantities of US oil and gas. Now coming to Japan, Trump met Sane Takaichi, Japan's first female prime minister. They signed a deal on rare earths and Trump called it beginning of a golden age. US and Tokyo will also cooperate on next generation nuclear reactors. Now to Malaysia, where at the ASEAN summit, Trump's signature bravado shone through. He announced new trade deals worth nearly $150 billion from Southeast Asian countries, Malaysia, Cambodia, Thailand, Vietnam, all pledging mega purchases from US. South Korea, Japan and Malaysia also reiterated their commitment to collectively invest $1 trillion in the United States. But on the sidelines of these deals, the flattery too stole the show. South Korea's President Lee Jae-myung pulled out the stops, presenting Trump with a gold medal and a gold crown, because when in Seoul, do as the kings do. The menu, US raised beef and gold-studded brownies, capped off with Trump's own campaign anthem YMCA playing as he exited the Air Force One. Lee didn't miss a beat. "You are indeed making America great again," he declared. Japan's prime minister was no less flashy. The new prime minister too knew how to get all of it right with Trump. She presented Trump with a gold leaf golf ball, part of a golf-themed gift package, which included a putter once owned by Shinzo Abe and a golf bag signed by Japanese Masters champion Hideki Matsuyama. Now, he was also served US rice during lunch with Sane Takaichi along with American beef. Remember, Japan had signed a deal with US where it would increase rice imports from the country as a first from Japan, which considers rice sacred. Reporters were directed past a gold-hued Ford F-150 pickup truck outside the meeting venue too. And well, Trump also got a nomination for the Nobel Peace Prize from Japan. Now, this trip wasn't just diplomacy, it was a masterclass in how to roll out the red carpet for Trump. Leaders fed him with gold medals, gourmet meals, and golf memorables, all while securing trade agreements that Trump will loudly claim as monumental victories. Whether the deals translate into lasting peace, smoother trade, or real reset in ties remains to be seen. Donald Trump's meeting with the Chinese President Xi Jinping was much hyped as a landmark meeting. Trump was positive that a trade deal might be signed during the meet. Everyone was closely watching the highlights from the meet on October 30. But did it deliver, or was it just another meeting with no clear resolutions? Our next report tells you more.
In a landmark meeting on October 30th, 2025, U.S. President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping met face-to-face in Busan, South Korea, on the sidelines of the APEC summit, marking their first encounter in 6 years. The high-stakes talks focused on easing prolonged trade tensions between the world's two largest economies. Trump opened the meeting by calling Xi a very tough negotiator, but expressed optimism about the talks, calling it a great honor and praising Xi as a distinguished and respected leader of a great country. Xi reciprocated with praise for Trump's efforts toward peace and stability, acknowledging the tough problems both nations face. He emphasized the importance of the two countries staying the right course, despite their differences, calling China and the U.S. partners and friends whose development goes hand in hand. The meeting lasted nearly 2 hours and was closed to the media. Afterward, neither leader made immediate public comments. However, Trump later described the meeting as a great success, rating it 12 on 10, and announced plans to visit China in April 2026. Xi is also expected to visit the U.S. in the near future. The agenda was broad but intensely focused on critical issues, foremost among them being the U.S.-China trade war and rare earth minerals. Rare earths are essential for manufacturing everything from smartphones and electric vehicles to advanced military technologies, like fighter jets and drones. China dominates this sector, controlling about 70% of global rare earth mining and over 90% of processing capabilities. Recently, China tightened export restrictions on these minerals in retaliation to U.S. export bans on certain Chinese tech firms. During the meeting, President Trump described Xi Jinping as a very tough negotiator, but expressed optimism about productive outcomes. The talks concluded with a tentative agreement to reduce tariffs by 10% and resume American soybean exports to China. More notably, both sides agreed to ease some restrictions around rare earth exports, a critical move given the U.S.'s dependence on China for these minerals. The United States needs China's rare earths because developing alternative sources and refining capabilities domestically or with allies remains limited and costly. The meeting did not delve deeply into contentious geopolitical issues like Taiwan, with Trump noting they don't even speak Taiwan at this time, choosing to focus on economic and trade matters. This summit represents a significant pivot from months of escalatory tariff threats and export bans, showing a mutual interest in preventing further damage to their economies and the global supply chain. Looks like the tensions are easing, but what's next is what will be closely watched by the world, given no deal is final when it comes to China or the United States.
Imagine waking up on a Tuesday morning and being notified via email that you lost your job to a machine. Well, Amazon just shook the global job market, announcing a massive cut of 14,000 corporate jobs, its largest white-collar layoff in recent memory. This move isn't about just cutting costs, it's about restructuring for the AI era. Amazon's senior VP Beth Gillette calls this AI wave the most revolutionary technology since the internet, driving the need to slim down layers of management and accelerate decision making. Hundreds of middle managers and corporate staff found their roles eliminated almost overnight, many notified via abrupt texts and emails early on a Tuesday morning. Despite posting record profits, Amazon is betting big on AI and automation to replace human tasks in administration, planning, and coordination, aiming to move faster and leaner in this new tech landscape. But Amazon isn't alone. Across the world, AI is rewriting the future of work, cutting jobs in sectors from tech giants to airlines. India's own workforce, especially in IT and BPO, faces serious disruption, with reports suggesting over 60% of formal jobs are at risk of automation by 2030. The Economic Survey warned last year that AI casts a huge pall of uncertainty over millions of workers whose roles involve repetitive or back-end operations. Adding fuel to this fire, Elon Musk recently delivered a chilling prediction. He foresees an AI-driven job apocalypse that could wipe out significant portions of the workforce. Musk cautions that as machines become more smarter and more capable, traditional jobs from blue collar to white collar will evaporate unless societies find new ways to adapt. This includes creating social safety nets and reinventing education to prepare workers for new realities. He says, and I quote, "AI and robots will replace all jobs. Working will be optional, like growing your own vegetables instead of buying them from a store." So, is AI stealing all of your jobs? The short answer is yes and no. AI is rapidly automating routine and repetitive tasks, especially roles involving predictable processes and middle management layers, just like Amazon's recent cuts showed. But AI is also creating new opportunities. The challenge for workers is to reskill fast and move into roles that require creativity, empathy, complex problem solving, and advanced tech skills. Looking ahead, there are top 10 jobs for tomorrow, roles that experts agree will thrive in the AI age. Number 1, AI and machine learning specialists. Number 2, data analysts and scientists. Number 3, cybersecurity experts. Number 4, robotics engineers. Number 5, digital transformation specialists. Number 6, healthcare practitioners and technicians. Number 7, renewable energy technicians. Number 8, creative professionals. Number 9, educators and trainers, especially in tech and reskilling. And number 10, mental health professionals. These are the roles that leverage human ingenuity, your adaptability, and also technical mastery areas where AI complements rather than replaces. So the solution is to skill up, learn how to use AI in your favor, increase productivity in lesser time. It's a wave just like when computers or internet became a new normal. The key is to adapt and integrate AI in your workflow to get most out of it instead of being threatened by it. Gold. It is a metal which is much talked about right now. It has outpaced Nifty, giving massive gains and peaked this month to the highest levels. However, now the prices are falling, especially in India. Gold prices on MCX fell about 10% from its peak last week, and investors wonder, is it the right time to buy more now? Should you buy gold now or wait for further correction? Our next report has the answer.
Gold prices in India have experienced a sharp decline, falling below 1.19 lakh per 10 grams on the multi-commodity exchange, dropping over 12,000 rupees from their peak levels seen earlier this month. This amounts to almost a 10% correction from the record highs near 1.32 lakh 294 rupees per 10 grams. Silver prices have also followed a similar downward trend. The main reason behind this fall is the evolving global economic and geopolitical landscape. Investors' demand for gold, traditionally a safe haven asset during times of uncertainty, is weakening as optimism grows around a potential easing of US-China trade tensions. Top officials from both countries are working towards a trade agreement, reducing fears of prolonged disputes that had previously driven gold prices upward. The US Federal Reserve's recent policy plays a crucial role here. The Fed implemented its second rate cut this year, lowering interest rates by 25 basis points to a range of 3.75% to 4.00%. Typically, rate cuts make gold more attractive, since they reduce yields on interest-bearing assets and depreciate the dollar, making gold cheaper for holders of other currencies. However, the market reaction has been mixed this time. Although global gold prices inched higher slightly, in India, gold prices continued their downward trajectory. This is partly because Fed Chair Jerome Powell expressed uncertainty about further cuts this year, which led investors to scale back bets on additional monetary easing. Furthermore, the dollar index retreated modestly, but remains strong enough to keep pressure on gold prices. The anticipation of a US-China trade deal further diverts demand away from gold as a safe asset. For investors wondering whether to buy gold now, the technical outlook shows gold prices holding key support levels around 1,17,000 rupees to 1,18,000 rupees per 10 grams. As per analysts, if these levels hold, a rebound toward 1,21,000 to 1,22,000 is possible. Analysts suggest this recent dip might be a buying opportunity for long-term investors, especially if the Fed adopts a dovish policy stance in upcoming meetings or if geopolitical tensions re-escalate.
Donald Trump and his family have quietly built what some are calling the world's most lucrative and controversial crypto empire. A Reuters investigation recently revealed that Trump Organization raked in a staggering $864 million in just the first half of 2025 alone, and over 90% of the jaw-dropping sum came from their cryptocurrency ventures, notably through World Liberty Financial and Trump meme coin. Reuters found that $463 million came from World Liberty token sales, including $75 million from crypto entrepreneur Justin Sun and $100 million from UAE-based Aqua One Foundation. Another $336 million reportedly came from Trump meme coin, though that estimate carries a higher degree of uncertainty due to the opaque nature of Trump's crypto dealings. So what is fueling this crypto fortune? Foreign investors are pouring massive sums into Trump family's digital assets. The UAE-based Aqua One Foundation invested $100 million in Trump's World Liberty tokens, while Chinese and Middle Eastern buyers dominate the largest crypto wallets tied to Trump's operations. Eric and Donald Trump Jr. have been globetrotting in 2025, pushing World Liberty in a series of glitzy events from Dubai to Europe, pitching governance tokens with promises of revolutionizing America's financial future. But here's where things get sticky. The Trump family's crypto ventures blur the lines between private wealth and political power, raising serious ethical questions. Now, the critics are arguing that Trump is cashing in on an industry he now regulates as president, leading to an unprecedented conflict of interest. Is the White House being used as a launchpad for personal profits, is what they ask. White House spokespeople deny any wrongdoing, dismissing conflict claims as fabrications. World Liberty's lawyers also say that token sales do not personally benefit the Trumps. Yet, skeptics see an opaque operation where foreign powers and shadowy funds gain influence by buying into Trump's crypto empire, potentially trading access for investment. Moreover, the crypto platforms promoted by Trump promises flashy innovations like peer-to-peer lending and stable coins, but most remain underdeveloped or in early stages. This gap between pitch and delivery fuels suspicions that this is much about brand leverage and political capital as financial revolution. Adding to the controversy is a recent insider trading scandal involving Trump's youngest son, Barron Trump. Speculation erupted when a massive $200 million Bitcoin short bet was placed merely hours before President Donald Trump announced 100% tariffs on China in this month. Now, this strategic bet coincided with a sharp drop in Bitcoin prices, generating huge profits. Though no conclusive proof directly implicates Barron, his deep involvement in the family's crypto ventures and proximity to the sensitive policy decisions fueling suspicion of insider trading. In short, the Trump family is riding a crypto wave that's boosted their fortune almost 20-fold in 1 year, funded by wealthy foreign investors eager to back a billionaire with a global stage. But it raises difficult questions about the mixing of money, policy, and power in the world's most watched political office. Is Donald Trump using his presidency to build a personal crypto empire? The evidence rings alarm bells, and as this story unfolds, it may define the limits of political ethics in the digital age. What do you think about this? Let us know in the comments. The US government shutdown has extended beyond 4 weeks. It is one of the longest shutdowns in US history, and the longest one was also during Trump's last presidency. The shutdown was caused by failure of Congress to pass the necessary funding bill before the fiscal year began on October 1st. The main point of contention was extending healthcare subsidies and reversing cuts to Medicaid introduced under the Trump administration. But this clash between Democrats and Republicans is costing the federal workers, US citizens, and the economy. How? Here's a report.
United States, the world's richest and most powerful nation, is paralyzed by one of its longest ever government shutdown, with over 1.4 million federal employees now facing weeks without pay. The government shutdown has passed beyond 4 weeks now, and as this crisis deepens, everyday life for millions of Americans is grinding to a halt, and critical government services are being starved of the funds they need to operate. The most direct impact? Nearly 730,000 government employees are still reporting to work every day, but they're not getting paid. Homeland Security officers, TSA screeners, IRS staff, and many more are desperately juggling second jobs, delivering food, or pawning personal belongings just to scrape by. Another 670,000 have been furloughed, meaning they're forced to stay home with no paychecks on the horizon unless Congress later agrees to retroactive compensation. For thousands, survival has come down to visiting food banks, reaching out to charities, or even dipping into retirement savings to cover rent and bills. Labor unions are pleading with Congress to end the standoff, demanding back pay and a return to normalcy. But so far, relief hasn't come. Nearly every corner of federal life is feeling the strain. Impacted programs are 1. Essential food assistance. The SNAP program, Lifeline food aid for over 40 million Americans faces immediate funding shortages. States are preparing to slash or suspend benefits, and the administration's refusal to tap emergency reserves could spell hunger for millions. 2. Mothers and children. WIC, the Vital Nutrition Program for Low-Income Mothers and Kids, is running on borrowed funds that are set to dry up this weekend, with more than 7 million people at risk of losing support. 3. Early education. The Head Start program, giving vital educational and nutritional support to disadvantaged children, has already begun closing centers across 41 states and Puerto Rico, impacting tens of thousands of families. 4. Rural air services. The essential air service is nearing a total pause. Remote towns could lose flight access, especially in states like Alaska and the Midwest, as subsidies run out. 5. Airports in transit. Unpaid TSA agents and air traffic controllers are experiencing burnout, leading to absenteeism, long security lines, delayed and canceled flights. Aviation safety and morale are on the line. 6. Healthcare programs. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services are short-staffed, causing glitches on healthcare.gov and confusion just as millions try to enroll in new insurance plans. Delays could drive up premiums for working families next year. With mounting pressure, the White House authorized emergency payrolls for 1.3 million active-duty military by redirecting money from research and development budgets, draining $6.5 billion from other priorities just to keep paychecks flowing. Even then, the Pentagon relied on an anonymous $130 million private donation to meet salary needs. Officials admit these are only stopgap moves and cannot avert deeper crises if the shutdown drags on. So, what's being done to end the shutdown? Not much, at least not yet. President Trump and House Speaker Mike Johnson remain locked in a painful standoff with Democrats over whether to tie crucial healthcare reforms to government funding. Johnson argues against piecemeal solutions, while Senate leaders blame the administration for withholding available emergency funds. Short-term continuing resolutions have failed to earn enough votes, and both sides are digging in deeper. Some lawmakers urge moderation, but the bitter divide has left federal workers and families in limbo. The U.S. economy will bear the brunt. Economists warn the longer this shutdown lasts, the greater the toll on America's economy. Consumer spending is falling, government contracts are on hold, and investors are nervous as public frustration mounts. The Treasury hasn't defaulted yet, but fears of lost international credibility are growing, alongside real pain for those relying on government support. The image is stark: the wealthiest country on earth, unable to pay its own employees, feed its poorest families, or keep its essential services running.
This week, Bangladesh and Pakistan dusted off a decades-old economic partnership, reviving their Joint Economic Commission in Dhaka after 20 years. On paper, it sounds like a breakthrough. Trade talks, promises of cooperation in jute, energy, IT, and access for Bangladesh to Karachi port to boost exports to China and the Central Asia. But behind the diplomatic smiles lies a raw, uncomfortable truth. Bangladesh risks getting dragged down by Pakistan's failing economy and unresolved historical baggage. This is less a win-win and more a diplomatic gamble with high stakes for Bangladesh. Let's talk about economics first. Bangladesh is booming. With a $411 billion GDP, the country's growth rate is a robust 7.5% and exports have surged past $52 billion. Now, its garment industry alone employs millions of people and powers the economy steadily forward. Now, take Pakistan. Its economy is a mess. Inflation is skyrocketing beyond 21%. foreign reserves barely at $4 billion, growth limping at 3.5%, and debt payments looming over $75 billion in the next 3 years. Debt so crushing that it's sucking all the investment and energy out of the system. The International Monetary Fund warns Pakistan faces a balance of payments crisis unless it secures a $7 billion in emergency loans. More loans, more debt, a vicious cycle that keeps Pakistan's economy teetering on the edge of a collapse. Despite this chaos, Pakistan wants Bangladesh to deepen ties. It's offering Karachi port access and eyeing jute imports, trying to position itself as a regional trade hub. But Karachi port is already overburdened, and Pakistan's export infrastructure is riddled with inefficiencies. This offer is more of a diplomatic show than a real economic opportunity. Meanwhile, actual trade numbers tell a grim story too. Bangladesh imports nearly 10 times more from Pakistan than it exports, and total bilateral trade limps below $1 billion, paltry for two countries with huge markets. The partnership also comes at a politically sensitive time. Bangladesh's relations with India, its traditional economic and transit lifeline, are strained. India has slapped trade restrictions on key Bangladeshi exports like jute and processed foods, citing protectionism. Dhaka's retaliatory moves have raised tensions further. Pakistan is opportunistically stepping into this diplomatic void, eager to strengthen ties with Dhaka while its relations with India are straining. But does this make strategic sense for Bangladesh? Aligning with a bailout-dependent, crisis-driven Pakistan risks alienating New Delhi and jeopardizing more valuable trade ties. Then there is history too, raw, unresolved, and combustible. Bangladesh was born in a violent liberation war against Pakistan in 1971. The scars are far from healed. Pakistan's officials claim that all issues from 1971 are settled, but Dhaka demands formal apologies, repatriation of stranded people, and division of old financial assets. These unresolved issues strain trust and cast a shadow over any deeper cooperation. Recent controversies have also added fuel to the fire. Bangladesh's interim leader Mohammad Yunus alienated India with remarks praising China's role in South Asia and gifting a Pakistani general a book showing a controversial map incorporating India's northeastern territories into Bangladesh. Such provocations risk turning this economic dialogue into a geopolitical headache. Bangladesh's renewed economic flirtation with Pakistan may be more gamble than gain. While Pakistan seeks to revive ties amid economic desperation, Bangladesh's fast-growing export-driven economy risks collateral damage. Minimal trade, Pakistan's fiscal meltdown, ongoing historical wounds, and a diplomatic tightrope with India all add up to a lose-lose game for Dhaka. The much-awaited take on Wikipedia was launched this week. Elon Musk, the biggest critic of Wikipedia, launched his own version of it, calling it Grokipedia. The AI-integrated encyclopedia took the internet by a storm. Memes and posts started flooding on X, while Musk says that it's just the 0.1 version. It will be updated quickly with more articles. What is it and how is it different from Wikipedia? Our next report tells you more.
Elon Musk, the tech billionaire behind Tesla and SpaceX, has just launched Grokipedia, a new AI-powered encyclopedia aiming to take on Wikipedia, the world's most popular reference website. So, what is Grokipedia, and why is it making headlines? Grokipedia works a lot like Wikipedia in terms of how it looks. You'll find articles on everything from ChatGPT to the FIFA World Cup. But here's where it gets interesting. All the content is written and updated by artificial intelligence, not volunteer editors. Musk says Grokipedia is just in its early stages, what he calls version 0.1. but it's already boasting over 885,000 articles, and he claims it will keep growing fast. The idea is to pull the latest information from around the web, even tapping into conversations happening on social media platforms like X, formerly Twitter, which Musk also owns. But it's not just the technology that's turning heads. Unlike Wikipedia, which is built by a global community of volunteers who follow strict editorial guidelines and open discussions, Grokepedia's content is shaped by AI, sometimes with a clear point of view. Critics have already flagged that the site has a definite right-leaning slant. That's evident in articles covering political events or social issues, where Grokepedia's tone can be very different from what you'll find on Wikipedia. And there's another twist. A lot of Grokepedia's content is actually adapted straight from Wikipedia itself, thanks to Wikipedia's open license. The nonprofit that runs Wikipedia, the Wikimedia Foundation, has responded by saying they're watching closely, pointing out that Wikipedia's strength is its transparency, community oversight, and commitment to neutrality. Musk, on the other hand, has been one of Wikipedia's harshest critics in recent months, accusing it of being too woke and even calling for its donors to pull their support. With Grokepedia, he says he wants to build a massive improvement that, in his view, will tell the truth without what he sees as censorship. Wikipedia co-founder Jimmy Wales, in an interview last week, said that he didn't have high expectations for Grokepedia because AI language models aren't sophisticated enough, and there will be a lot of errors.
The US government has introduced major changes to the Employment Authorization Document or EAD rules effective October 30, 2025. EADs, often called work permits, allow certain foreign nationals, including spouses of H-1B visa holders and international students on F-1 visas, to legally work in the United States. Previously, if a worker applied to renew the EAD before the current one expired, they would get an automatic extension of their work authorization, sometimes up to 540 days. Now, this meant that they could continue working while waiting for the renewal to be processed. Starting October 30, this automatic extension is ending. Now, applicants must wait until they receive an approved renewed EAD before continuing to work. If their current EAD expires before the new one arrives, they must stop working, leading to potential gaps in employment and income. Now, what is this EAD? It is the employment authorization document, as mentioned earlier, that are like work permits for foreign nationals and students on F-1 visas. Who does this impact the most though? The biggest groups affected are number 1, H-4 visa holders, spouses of H-1B visa holders who currently rely on EADs to work legally in the United States. Without automatic extensions, these spouses risk losing jobs if renewals are delayed. Number 2, F-1 visa students on OPT or optional practical training, also relying on EADs to work temporarily related to their field of study after graduation. Now, this group comprises a large number of Indian students now facing career interruptions if renewal approvals are delayed. Number 3, asylum seekers and other non-citizens with EADs could also face similar challenges. The Department of Homeland Security or DHS justified this change by saying it intends to strengthen vetting, screening and identity verification to prevent fraud and protect public safety and national security. The policy emphasizes that employment is quote-unquote a privilege, not a right. For Indian workers and families, this change is particularly hard-hitting. According to data, India accounts for 70% of H-1B visa holders, and Indian students make up nearly 27% of international students in the US. The H-4 visa spouses mostly women, often contribute significantly to household income, and OPT workers are the bridge to permanent US employment for many graduates. With this sudden removal of automatic EAD extensions, many Indian workers face uncertainty and risk of unemployment during administrative processing delays. Now, to avoid work gaps, applicants must ensure that they file renewal applications as early as 180 days before your current one expires. But government backlogs and processing times make this difficult too. Employers now must verify that employees' EADs are valid and warn against hiring workers whose permits have expired, adding pressure and risk for job loss. Now, this change follows a series of visa policy reforms, including a massive hike in H-1B visa fees to $100,000 and halted worker visas for foreign truck drivers, painting a picture of increasingly restrictive US immigration policies targeting Indian workers and families trying to live, work, and study in the United States of America. For Trump, it is fulfilling his biggest promise that he had given to Americans. He thinks that this will increase jobs for Native Americans, but it could backfire. America is built on talent from across the world. Most of this comes from India and other countries, and the Silicon Valley relies on these foreign workers. From CEOs to workers in the big tech companies, they rely on these work permits. For foreign students, it is a potential nightmare, and they might now look at other options. That's all for this week. I will see you in the next. Keep watching ET Now for more such news and views.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.